Welcome to the HeatWise tutorial for importing data into your project from Excel files. So I'll show you in this video how to import different wall types, roof types, and some other items into your project by importing an Excel file directly into the project. So we'll start by going into a project, and first we'll just take a look at what we have existing. So in our walls we have a number of walls here. We have some roofs. We have a couple windows. We don't have any doors yet. So that's what's already existing in the project. And what we'll do is go to this Import tab. From the Import tab on the left, you can import an Excel file from your computer, but it has to be of the right format. So to get the right format, what we do is download the template file by clicking this button here. So once we've downloaded the template file and opened it up, we can start playing around with the Excel file. So just hit enable editing, and you'll see you have a few basic instructions on the home page. Really what they're telling you to do is just go into these tabs and start adding your data. So you can see we've got this walls tab here, and it's very similar to how you enter data in the app itself. You just give a name, so we'll call this one new wall. And what I will do here is show you what happens if you overwrite one of your existing ones. So actually you can see we already have one called new wall. So we'll leave that. So we'll call this one here new wall, and then we'll call this one wall 1. And then we'll just get rid of this one here. So first thing we want to do is give it a wall type, just like we would in our app. And then we have an R value, the wall weight, and solar absorptance values. Now you'll notice we don't have the option of building the wall here. This is just for a manual entry option. So what we'll do is just manually enter as if we were doing it in the app. And of course you can always refer back to things like your wall weight reference. So if you have no idea what your wall weight is, you can use your reference table here, and you can take a look at some common values. But for this example, we're not really going to care too much about those realistic values. We're just putting in some values for display purposes here. So we'll just put in a couple of values, and I'll show you if you do put something in incorrectly. Like for example, the solar absorptance has to be between 0 and 1. So if you give an invalid option, it will tell you that that's not allowed, and you'll have to retry, and you'll have to give it a correct value. So if you put a letter or something, it will not work. So you put in some valid values. So roofs, exact same thing. I'll just leave these blank for now because it works the same way as the walls. Windows, we'll do the same. I'm just gonna show one little thing here. We'll go delete on the middle row, and what you'll see is when we import this, it's actually not going to pick up window 3 because it looks at a sequential list, and it looks at where the list ends. So it'll see window 1, and then it'll say, okay, our list ended, we stop now. So it's not actually going to pick up window 3. So if you have a gap like this, you have to make sure that you've got all of your data in a continuous list rather than have gaps in it. And for doors, we'll call this, we'll give it a name, and we'll just give it some basic inputs. So for color, for example, we have a drop-down menu. And we'll get rid of these doors here. And for schedules, we'll just say we don't need this, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete the tab so that it does not take in any schedules. We don't want it to, I don't really want to add schedules that mean nothing, so I'm just going to leave that out entirely. And I'm just going to hit save. Now, of course, you want to save this to a proper location on your computer, so you know where to find it. And if you want to edit it later, you can always come back to the file, edit it, and then re-import it to HeatWise. So going back to our import tab here, we'll go choose Excel file. And we'll open the one that I just edited. We'll hit open. And you can see it gives us a summary of what it's doing. So you'll see for most of them it says new, but we actually have one where it says update. What this means is because if you recall, we had a wall that was already called new wall, and then we added a wall called new wall from our spreadsheet. It means it's going to overwrite what's currently there. So we'll actually replace our wall titled new wall with the one that we made in our spreadsheet. And then we'll add a new wall called wall 1, and it'll add these roofs called roof 1, roof 2, roof 3. It'll add this new window, and it'll add this new door. And you can see it does not add any schedules because we got rid of that schedules tab. And again, it did not show our window 3, which was in our list, because there was a gap in our list, so it only saw window 1 and then stopped there. So you can of course choose a different file if this was not the correct one, but for this we'll just hit apply changes, and we'll go look at our walls. And new wall, you'll see R value 20, absorptance 0.7, 10 pounds per square foot, and that's exactly what we have here. R value 20, absorptance 0.7, and 10 pounds per square foot for the weight. And you can see we have this new wall 1. Under our roofs, we have the roof 1, 2, and 3 that we just created, different than the ones that were already existing. We have this new window 1 that we created, and you can see here that these data points are blank. If we go back to our file here, you can see we left these blank. We left it zeros across the board, and we actually left it as a 0 for SHGC, but it did give us the default value, which is there when you create a new window. You'll see it gives a default 0.3 or 0.9. So it's the same when you create, when you add one from an Excel file. If it's blank, it'll just put it to the default, but the other ones, there are no defaults, so it just leaves them blank. So completely blank data. And then our door, of course, is there as well. So that's how you import data from an Excel file in HeatWise. So it can save some time when importing data, especially if you have schedule from the architect in Excel format. You can just put it into the format of this Excel template from HeatWise and then re-upload that to your file, and then it'll all be in there in your project. Now, of course, you can do it with partial data and then fill in the rest later. So for example, if your architect gives you wall dimensions and U values but does not provide the SHGC, you can add the SHGC on your own afterwards after importing the file. So that's importing data in HeatWise. We'll see you in the next video.